Well, welcome yet again to this show, Choose to Win. We're so glad that you joined us. And again, I know that I say this week after week, but I truly mean it from my heart. Thank you so much for tuning in every Thursday and Sundays and watching us and allowing us to come in your home. We're grateful. Continue to do that. Continue to send us the messages through April and let her know what you like about the show, things that you like to see. And if you have a story or know someone with the story, go to fnfministries.org. We'd love to hear from you. Oh, before we get started, I got to tell you about this. The overcoming adversity that we've been talking about, the David mentality, it's out now on Amazon. Now, this is not for resale. This is my copy. What I want you to do, if you're going through anything and you want to know how to go through it without making a noise, get this book. It'll truly bless you. The David mentality talks about how you can go through and know through. I like that. And know that you don't have to say a word. Just be still and know. But now, without further ado, enough of that. I want to introduce to you this phenomenal young trailblazer, someone who is making strides in the community, Miss 20 Under 40.
Yes.
We're so honored to have you, Miss J.Holmes. So grateful that you join us today. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I was excited as you called me and asked me to be on the show and to interview me. So I am very excited. I'm honored to be in your presence, first of all, and to be on the show as well.
Well, Choosing to Win talks about choosing to win. And I ask God, who do you want the people to see that just don't give up? And as we go through this show, people will be able to see how you choose to win every day. Because my mantra is it's a decision. It's something that no one can tell you to do. You have to make the choice to do it. And so as I watched you emerge and grow and take on different things, I said, oh my God, she's just refusing to give up. We worked on some projects together and I've watched how you've grown over the years, how you've been so passionate about everything you do. So who better to have on here than you? So thank you for being here. So how are the babies? One, Jay and your other daughter. What's her name? What's your sweet
Jayla.
Jay and Jayla.
Yes.
Jay is a Facebook sensation. So we know him before anybody.
Yes.
And how are they?
They're doing great. Jayla is a 5th grader now. Yes, and Jay is 19. We've transitioned. We graduated in 2021, and so now he's going back to his 2nd year of post-secondary high school education with his IEP.
Okay.
So I'm grateful and thankful for that and having that opportunity to send him back to school, because Lord knows I can use those breaks sometimes during the day.
Also, you have a baby, so that people will know that your baby has special needs.
Yes.
And he's a special kid, so I don't want to seem like, well, we need Jay.
Yeah.
We get special needs.
Yeah.
So he does, and God has gifted you with a kid who needs a little extra support.
Yes.
And shout out to Opelika High School for allowing him to come, because we see him. He does things with the football program and all types of stuff. Like, they've always welcomed Jay. What kind of things is he doing this post-secondary year of high school?
Okay, so he is able to do the dog walk.
Wow.
He loves the drums. That is our blessing, and that is also our curse, because when Jay cannot get a hold to the drums, life is not as easy for us until we can try to redirect him to say not now, because he loves the drums. Like, that is his passion. He loves to play the drums. And when he gets a chance to get on the drums, Jay will give you a show. He is Mr. HBCU himself.
Well, see, and his smile is infectious.
He is.
Every time you see him, he's smiling. What a gift that we wish we could have. He just let God just lead him through that smile. He brightens up a day. I mean, you could be having the worst day ever. And then you'll see you and Jay on Facebook, or you'll see a challenge that you've overcome with your son. And we're so honored that you let us tap into that. So that is, my hat's off to you, because you're such a super mom. Again, I mentioned that you were 20 under 40. How did that come about?
Okay, 20 under 40. So I'll go back to, I think it was the wake of the George Floyd movement.
Right.
That we were able to, everybody just was emotions were so high.
Right. That's
and
right.
I never forget that you told me, you may not remember this, but when people tell me stuff, I always listen and I take it to heart. But you told me in maybe 2013, when there was so many shooting and so much violence going on in our community, and we came together with the prayer vigil, and you told me, you said, we got to stop acting off of emotions.
Wow.
And I remember that, because even though emotions will drive us, but emotions will also cause us to get into some stuff that we just don't want to be able to get into.
Or
We have to
make
be able to control our
Right,
emotions.
you do.
And so emotions do drive us, but we're able to control our emotions more so than anything. And I know my city was very
We were plagued with
upset.
life.
We were going through a lot in that moment, and so I decided then that I would link up with some community activists and some people in the community that was just as passionate as I was. And you came about as well in that conversation, and we did the prayer vigils because we had a string of murders in March. I'll never forget. It was every Sunday, and we did a prayer vigil, and we skipped the Sunday of murders, and we was like, hallelujah,
Right,
thank
we
God
sure did.
for that moment.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and so it was times like that that I felt like we as the people must rise up, those of us who want to be sure that we're not imposing violence in that manner of because we're so emotional, we're so upset.
Right.
And so in the wake of the George Floyd, we knew that people was burning buildings and just doing so much.
Right.
And I'm such an advocate for my city, so I'm like, no, we cannot burn down the 2 or 3 buildings that we have. So I'm going to need us to come together and have a sensible movement. And so I led that movement, and I think that was the birth of the city officials and people knowing that I truly had a passion for the city and for the people, and that we can figure out how to bridge that gap between law enforcement and the community. And it was just rolling from that point on. It just rolled.
They identified they had a 20 under 40.
Yeah, and so 20 under 40, I really feel was birthed out of that when I did my little bio where I had to talk about myself and some things that we did, and they was like, you better mention the Juneteenth march that you put on in the March of Social Injustice, because I'm so humble to the fact that I don't always like to mention the things that I do, and I allow people to kind of say the things that we've done more so than a little bit, and that's what happened.
What we need to understand as an African American people is that, and I make people uneasy all the time, so that's fine, is that we gotta stop letting people stifle our voice.
Yeah.
Because we growed up, and I can remember this more than anything, hearing in church, pride comes before a fall, pride comes before a fall. And so I've always been a vocal person. Mm-hmm. And so I used to listen to people say, oh, and now I have a talk show. Oh, Frankie, you just talk too much. You know, so you become cognizant of, because of what people say.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you are learning that your voice is so important, that not only, even when people don't recognize it, it's bigger people or other people out there, and I don't want to say bigger in the sense of a position, but bigger in the sense of your passion, that recognize your worth. Because even when we don't, sometimes people do. And so that is such an amazing story. And I do remember us, because I have a black son, and I do remember what it feels like when he pulls up at home. I have 2 black sons because my sister passed away, and I always tell people she donated me a son. She could have left me other things, but she left me a tree. No, I'm just teasing.
That's a great thing, Lee.
And so, but LaMarcus was a little older as we begin to experience these things, but Devin was just growing into his own, and just the feeling of being at home and hearing his car pull up when he was driving and saying, he made it. So I would not have had it any other way but to be a part of something like that. And when you brought it out and said this is what we wanted to do, you know, I was just head over heels to be a part of it. Yeah. So I thank you for the partnership. So we have 20 under 40. We have Jay and Jayla. We have a nonprofit. What is the title of your nonprofit?
Okay, my nonprofit is Compassionate Hands of Hope Incorporated. And Compassionate Hands of Hope is it's a twofold operation that we're just now in the first fold. In the later part or the latter part, I could kind of introduce it, but for the most part, it's a time for everything. So the first part is basically to empower and enable humankind everywhere, especially our young people and people with unique abilities. And I call it unique abilities because a lot of times we see disabilities and we think disabilities is such a stigma when it comes to disabilities. But I feel like children and families of children with disabilities, there are so many unique things that we can take out of those children and those families, and we can pull and expound on the uniqueness that's in each and every child. So Compassionate Hands of Hope, that's basically exactly what it is. It's just finding that ability, that unique ability that's been labeled as a disability, and expounding on it and being able to help, and also being able to provide resources for our community, because it's biblical. We perish from the lack of knowledge.
That's right.
And a lot of times when we don't have that knowledge that we need in our communities, and let's just face it, a lot of our kids with disabilities or unique abilities, some of it is genetic, some of it is hereditary. And so when that happens, the parent may not have the resources that, or either the wisdom or the knowledge, or able to assess the accessibility to some of the resources. And so that's where I step in at. I grab those babies and those parents and those families by the hand and show them the different resources that we have. And I'm like, if I can't get it, I'll find you somebody that can get it. When it comes to the school system, a lot of our children are just undiagnosed. Let's just be real. A lot of our kids, what we see as they're bad. They're just not trained. They ain't got no home training.
Yeah,
That's
what we would
say. And so a lot of our babies are undiagnosed. Myself, I laugh all the time, but I really feel like I'm undiagnosed with ADD, because I cannot pay attention.
But you know, we live in a society where, you're right, I think what you said, the lack of resources. And when I used to have a self-contained classroom at a place that I was working years ago. I loved to visit that room because I called them special abilities. And they were just so loving. They didn't have the know-how to know how to be racist or prejudiced or who like. They just love like God instructs us to love. But you harped on something that it's in my bio. Our people perish for a lack of knowledge. Sometimes we just don't have the resources to get knowledgeable. And I'm learning in this season, where I work at a alternative school, and it's just that. It's not a bad place. It's just a place where kids need to go get an alternative education before they can go back to their home school. And I've learned that parents do care. And I'm not saying I learned it just now, but I've always known it, because that's why a lot of people think that I have such passion for education. That now I ain't gonna lie on camera and say that some people just ain't, parents just ain't sorry. They just don't do.
That's
you
the
too busy
truth.
shopping.
That's the truth.
Then coming to a meeting. But that's a whole nother show.
But even in that, and I don't mean to cut you out,
You're fine.
and that's what the thing that I say to a lot of people, that I still feel like our children don't deserve to perish because of the parent.
Correct.
And we should be that next beacon of hope, or that light for a child whose parent is just plain out sorry.
I love the way you know, we ain't trying to be politically correct on children. But you're right.
And that's when I'm like, that is where I'm saying, and people are like, that's not your child. You don't. And I'm like, but do he deserve to not to be able to get the opportunities and to be afforded a chance to come out of where he is because the mama is sorry? It should not be like that.
I mean, you said it twice. She mean that.
And I mean it.
And I'll go a little step further, because we are living in I listen to T.D. Jakes every morning when I run. And one thing he said this morning as I ran, he said, we're living in a strange time where people will say something and you'll hear them say it. And then they'll come back and say they didn't say it. And if you listen long enough, you'll start believing, well, maybe they didn't say it. And so what I mean about, and I guess I want to make sure that they get the point, in case nobody understood what you were saying, those parents that just choose not to get involved. We're not talking about the ones that trying their best to do the best they can because you're one of those parents, you're a hardworking mom. I'm just talking about the ones that just, you can see them at every athletic event, but they can't ever make a meeting, or they can't ever make a PTO, or they can't ever make a supportive something. Because if you're hearing me, we see you on Saturday morning. They start them off young, and 4 and 5 years old. They're out there early playing the pee-wee football, but they need, like I learned with Devin, and even though Devin and Jessica may not have wanted me there, they'll tell you, and I think a lot of parents say, well, they don't want me there, no way. Well, they don't know how to tell you that they do. They want to be cool in front of their friends. So you don't have to get in their business. You don't have to just take over their time. You just show up and say, hey, even if you may not want me right now, here I am. But then get in their business. You know, I think parents more than ever don't believe that they have a voice in their child's business. You do. And that brings us into this part of what you do, Boys and Girls Club. So they can't say that you don't know what you're talking about and I don't know what I talk about, because I'm a 21-year plus educator and you work for the Boys and Girls Club, where it used to be plagued as a place you just go drop your kids off.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how you've changed that lens of the Boys and Girls Club, and that you do know firsthand that some kids are just not supported the way they should be.
Yes, and so with Boys and Girls Club, that was a perfect opportunity, and I know that God put me at Boys and Girls Club for a reason. Every adversity that I face, everything that I face is like God is walking me through it.
Right.
God even sends me dreams,
right,
like the day before something happens, and He prepares me for when He puts you in a place for His children. But Boys and Girls Club now is doing a phenomenal job. We have a great leader, Richard Curry, our CEO. And don't get me wrong, in the past we were great because we grew up as club kids.
Right.
But also back then we knew Boys and Girls Club. We was gonna go. We was gonna play basketball. We was probably gonna swing at a few people at times.
I was about to say, you're gonna fight. But
I'm
good. We live.
And we still, we're fine.
We didn't
but
shoot.
Now, yeah.
Right.
And we would get into some things in Boys and Girls Club. But now the vision is the same. The mission is the same, but we're just taking it to a higher level where we're educating our kids. We do different programs like our Power Hour, our Project Learn, our Triple Play, which I'm throwing things out that you may not understand, but most of the Triple Play is like our physical education, our health and wellness that they need. Our Project Learn is our high yield educational activities, and then our Power Hour is homework help, because now we're living, and it goes back to we're living in a time where sometimes you may think I'm absent as a parent, but I'm actually trying to work. And it's hard for a lot of us, and that's where we are to help each other. And when it says that we really need a village to raise our kids, that's what we need. And that's what I look at Boys and Girls Club as now. We are part of the village. My job does not stop at 9 to 6. I'm sorry. I know a lot of times administratively it's supposed to be 9 to 6. However, my job carries over. I bring these kids home with me in my heart. I can't physically bring them home, but
I got what you're saying.
in my heart, they're with me. I'm rolling. I could be on the phone with my friends sometimes, and they're like, I do not want to hear about Boys and Girls Club today. We're at lunch. We're riding in the car. I do not want to. Please don't bring up Boys and Girls Club right now. And my thing is, that's my life. These babies are my passion. I can't turn them on and off. I know I need a mental break, but I can't just turn them on and off when I feel like they're struggling.
Well, what people need to understand, though, you said in the beginning of this show you had somebody that you looked up to. All you're trying to do is pay it forward.
Pay it forward.
All you're doing is, you probably saw whatever I did somewhere. That's why it's very important that you are who you are, because somebody's dependent on you. This week I suffered a great loss. I lost an icon in my life. Her name is Connie Ingalls. She created a program when I was a pregnant teen that I didn't really qualify for, but she decided to follow her passion. And so she implemented a program at Auburn City Schools that caused me the opportunity, or gave me the opportunity to graduate high school. And so when she passed away a couple of days ago from cancer, it just kind of caught us by surprise, because we thought we had more time. And that's going to preach to somebody who's on here. You don't ever take time for granted. Right. We actually had a lot less time than we anticipated. And I think a part of me I couldn't fly out to see her because we thought we had time. And so if she would not have followed her passion, where would I be? And so I guess what the people need to understand about people like you, people like us, we make you uncomfortable. I know some of my conversations make people very uncomfortable, but who cares? If you're uncomfortable, and if you don't like what I'm saying, and if I'm wrong, you come and you address me about it, and let's have a conversation. But if I'm by some chance correct, and you're uncomfortable, then change your behavior. So if you're a parent who's doing the best you can, you shouldn't feel convicted about this conversation. You just say, I need help. Hey, how do I get in touch with these ladies? How can Miss Janautica help me get resources for my child? But by some chance, you are the parent that gets on Facebook that say, I'll fight with mine. You hit my 13-year-old, I'm coming to school and beat you up. If you're that parent, if you're her, then maybe we need to have a conversation with you and say that you are part of the problem. I don't want people not to support their children. That's not the message we're sending. However, you need to teach them that there is a correct way to handle situations. Go ahead.
Yes, and I'll tell you, and that's what the biggest people have helped me and poured into my life by just saying words. And 7th grade, Coach Sarah Chandler told me, she said, life is only 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you respond to it.
Absolutely.
And I've lived my life in that manner. And God was speaking to me the other day as I was driving down the road, and he was saying, I want you to tell somebody that same thing. Like, life is only 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you react. Because you're going to be held accountable. I don't care what somebody did to provoke you.
Right.
Your actions is what they're going to be dealt with for their provocation
Right.
of what they did. But now you have a duty, and you're going to be dealt with and held accountable for how you responded to how they treated you. And it's hard to stand and watch people hurt our children.
Right.
It's hard to stand and watch people hurt our friends, our families, even ourselves. And I remind myself of when Peter drew his sword. I can say sword, whichever one you want to use it. And Jesus told him to put it away.
That's right.
But he did it because he couldn't stand what they was doing to Jesus, his friend, his leader. And so we strike back in those times. But those times can cause us now we're responsible for how we reacted to it. And so even when that happens to us, we have to be assertive. That we can be assertive. We can be sure what we want to say to people. We can be sure of how we want to respond. But there's always a right way to handle situations. I haven't always been that person, and I still, even now, if it had to come to sometimes,
but you had to say, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Let me back up. And so it's in that moment that we just have to understand how to be able to communicate and how to be able to tell how we feel. You hurt me. You offended me. That don't mean I got to fight you because you offended me and things like that. So I don't know how I got on that situation.
Well, so because
I'm
going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's blessing somebody. You're saying the exact same words, handling adversity.
Yeah.
David and Saul hated David. No real reason. And he chose to respect his position. Doesn't mean he necessarily liked what Saul was doing to him, but he was his leader. We've all been in situations where we want to say things that will cost us more in the end than the person that's attacking us. Those are the things, like riding down here to this interview today, I was hit with something on my way. And a part of you, social media has made it so easy for us to act angry.
That's the new
God. You see, back in the day when I would be crazy, then nobody had no camera in front of me. So right now, because I can't let my emotions dictate my responses, I knew not to type in on Facebook and send that message in shade because the person was going to know who I was talking to.
Exactly.
Because I just got off the phone with you. And so, but those happen to all of us. And so I could not allow my emotions that were very high at that moment, cause me my witness.
Yes.
And so what you're saying is, when you were in the 7th grade, somebody gave you those wisdom words.
Yeah.
And you never forgot them. How amazing is that we think children forget how we treat them just because they grow up.
They don't. And they remember the same things that you pour into them that's positive. They remember the attacks that you put on their lives and the things that you speak to them as well. So, in working with youth, they're our future.
Correct.
They are our present and they are our future. And we have to care and take care of their hearts. We have to take care of their minds. We have to guard their hearts and minds as well. We have to encourage them. You encouraged me as I grew up and was first coming out, because I remember one time I was fussing about the sports place and you said, you can't do that. Don't be fussing at that man. You can't be attacking that man like that. And so you learn that it's not backing down. You're still assertive. You're still saying what you want to say, but the way that you're doing it now has changed. And we have to be able to take that because they expect us to act a certain way.
And when we say, and we're just talking about people who, like when I went through the worst experience of my life, people were waiting on my response. And so when I was through it, and it's a process, people don't really remember what happened to you. They remember how you responded to it. And that's where you get the most impact.
Yes.
I'm not trying to impress. I'm trying to impact. And so what you're telling me today, I think is what I hear. You wasn't necessarily impressed by, you didn't talk about what car I had or what I wore or how I looked. Mm-hmm. You talked about how I impacted you in a moment. And so people need to understand that's the world, that's what we need more of.
Yes.
And for people like you to say, this is how it impacted my life. I was this way and now I'm that way. So I'm just so amazed and honored. As we wrap this interview up, what else do you want us to know about Janotica?
Janotica is, first, I'm real. I believe
people know that today too.
I am transparent.
Right.
I don't want somebody to see me and see this outer shell and think that I do not go through daily challenges, that I haven't been through daily challenges. Every day of my life is a struggle when I wake up to thank God first and then to get my kids ready. We talked about Jay in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Jay and his autism. And some days it's just not a good day. Sometimes he's always smiling. Some days just not going to be a good day for him. He's saying, funny, I graduated one time, I ain't going to school today. And I'm saying, you getting out of here. You going somewhere because I need a break.
And let the parents know. I think our kids want us to say stuff like, oh, well, come here, sweetheart.
No.
I think they want you to be on camera and say, well, this is what I do. I count to 10.
No, I don't.
And so it's real. You're struggling. So
I'm struggling every day with him. And I wouldn't trade him for the world. And some days are just the best days that we can have. And he's matured so much. And I thank God for that moment of where I was and to where he and I both have grown as we've grew as parent-son relationship. He knows when to go on. Despite
he and I, they know when to go on. They keep on.
Yeah, he knows when to go on because autism or not, I am your mother.
And you will
and when
respect me.
you hear my voice, when I say stop, when I say no, I need you to understand that this is what it's going to be.
How does Jayla deal with that? How is she in that?
She's very patient. She even knows calming techniques for him sometimes, and they wrestle and play, and it's so loving in our home. I don't believe in having a house without making it a home.
Right.
And sometimes
it's beautiful.
And we can have a place. I turned one of my fourth bedroom into a den because my kids need a place to lounge around and a place to be happy, and that don't necessarily just have to be their bedroom.
Well,
so
oh my goodness. Just want to send a quick shout out to Greater Peace and the vision of Clifford Jones for this community that you all live in. I thank God for having visionaries in our community. I thank God because what's the name of this? Is Jordan Gates?
This is Jordan Gates. And oh God,
and
are we wrapping up?
Harbor, what do you want to say real quick?
I forgot. This thing it went so fast because there's so much that we're talking about and it's just so natural. But I do want people to stay tuned to back to you. 4 years ago, I had my last storm I survived that came out of my experience with Jay. And so stay tuned. November the 5th from 11 to 1, we will have an I Survive brunch at Opelika Public Library. You'll see the details coming soon. Myself and my sister Quantera Vidal is working on that. And so we're excited. And it's going to be a day of purpose, testimonies, and empowerment. So,
we can't wait. November the 5th, the day I got hit. So, yeah, we'll talk about that off camera. Love it. So honored to have you. So grateful that you're here. Man, here we go again. I love the way you say it. Are we wrapping up? Love it. Yes, we are. Stay tuned. Janotica Holmes, 20 under 40. Jayla, Jay's mom, Miss Icon, Miss Everything. I'm so proud. Trailblazer, change agent. Be on the lookout for her. Follow her on Facebook. But again, we have to come to an end. We are so honored to have you. I am so emotionally drained from this wonderful interview. Not in a bad way, in a way that to watch you grow. Thank you for watching. Tune in again Thursdays, Sundays. We can't wait to see you. And you know what I say as I back up and say it. Whenever you have a decision to make, you make the one decision and you choose to win. See you next time. Thank you.